Hello YouTube, my name is Olivia and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are well and I hope you all are enjoying Aries season, tropical Aries season, Sidereal Pisces season, with all of the big energy of like new beginnings, and I just like all the rev up energy. I'm loving it as a tropical Aries, Sidereal Pisces. It just feels like on one end, on the tropical end, it feels like new beginnings are coming, but then with the Sidereal, it's such a great moment for the creation process and the creative process, and this mixture of like birth and death, like it's all happening right now in the year, like the Aries, tropical Aries season with the new, everything is becoming is the new year. It's the equinox, the spring equinox. But then also with Sidereal Pisces season, it's the, in order to breathe new, to create new, things have to die. And a lot of cycles are ending in relationships, and things are just shifting a lot. And I was born during this time, so it's my natural element. I love change. I love when things are like shifting and changing, and that's kind of what I'm going to be talking today. This video is like right on the topic. Came to me last night and I wrote it down. I wrote some things down, so excuse me if I'm looking at my computer, but it is the right time with the equinox and Ramadan, Easter coming, and the beginning. Yeah, it's just the beginning of spring, and it's ripe energy, fertile energy. And so I'm going to be talking about the creative process and kind of what my like whole framework and what I focus on when I do readings, and also just my entire life pretty much has been like focused on being sort of like a creative doula, first to myself, of course, but I'll kind of be talking about what it means to me to be a creative doula and what the creative process is for me. This and this was kind of inspired in a way, the real like jumping point, the real like moment when it really like shifted in my head for me was watching this video on Instagram, and this guy who I don't know who he is. Maybe I'll link the video below, but it's like a Instagram reel. But he was saying that if you're a true artist, if true artists don't create and don't take their artistry from the subtle energy, he didn't say it in these exact words, but I'm paraphrasing in my own words. But he's saying if a true artist doesn't create and take the subtle energy and make it material and make it real and physical, then they'll become a hypochondriac. And the creativity, he was saying, the creativity will sort of become this own like this enemy and turn on them, and they'll start like making shit up. So yeah, this idea that like creative energy, I'll kind of be talking about what that video kind of sparked in me and what came to me last night as I was like journaling about it. Because I've experienced this, like when I'm not being creative, it's like you just put like the creative energy will just form this like monster that wants to be put somewhere. Like it will be put somewhere, whether that's like my last video talking about smoking or whatever vices we have, or it'll be in, you know, emotional sulking, and or this creative energy will, like he said, you become a hypochondriac and start making shit up. All of these stories that you should be making into books or songs or paintings or whatever else, this subtle energy that's around you that's not being like manifested and materialized into art will just kind of like taunt you and haunt you, and you'll start making shit up. And so what came to me was how this happened, sort of. So like what I wrote was, one moment is one moment, like for like me writing about what I'm feeling and writing part of a story or painting part of a painting. The initial moment of getting it down is inspired by many moments before. And so basically what I was thinking about was, you know, in the moment that I'm writing something down, that part of the creative process of writing something down is like creating, you know, when you see the tree roots and or neural pathways, and there's like nodes that connect, and when you see neural pathways, there's nodes, like big nodes that create little nodes and little pathways to other nodes. And these nodes are when like something shifts in our brain, or if you look at tree roots, there's also like this sort of like sacred pattern in nature of trees, the way trees branch out. Like there's nodes, there's moments when a path is created, when more is sparked, and that's kind of where we are now energetically. This sort of place where this holding space, this womb space, that's gonna like node, that's gonna like branch out. And so in these moments when we like write something down or paint something, whether it doesn't have to be good or not, it doesn't have to be like it's not going to be the final product, but it just is a node to the creation. So like these little nodes, and they open up new paths and new possibilities. And it's this one moment that is connected to like so many different moments. So, so this one moment of writing something down, all of these things, like me writing this down that I'm talking about today, was inspired by the one video that I watched and another video that I watched, and something that happened to me in my real life. And all these little moments become like build up to the moment when I actually wrote something down, or to when I actually made this video. And that is the creative process, these moments that create other moments and are connected to other moments. And even later, when you'll say with writing a book, like even later when you write something down, just something, you write it down, and then later on you go in to edit it, and what you wrote down at that moment now shifts into and connects to another moment, because the editing process has happened, and you're putting these different pieces together to create one completed piece of work. And it's just like this culmination of moments of inspiration. And that's sort of like that is the creative process. You document a moment and have it connect to another moment. And that's the journey of like the creative process. Rarely does, you know, even if somebody sits down and just writes a whole book from start to finish, the things that have like contributed to that moment of writing that book, it's just all like a neural connection of moments to inspire the work. And so as a creative, and it's important to tap into memory, into the body, and like pull from time and space and the body to channel moments, which is why I love the idea of right now, where it's like, right now, Ramadan is happening, and there's a lot of like, it's the perfect time to like fast or to let something go, or to, you know, in this creative process, the death is a very big part of this creative process. And so I love that even right now, when it's feels like new, we're also in a space of grieving, because things are dying. Things have to be deconstructed and demolished, and all of the destruction has to happen as well. And this sort of like destruction creates more space for the new. So fasting, creating more room for this divine like inspiration to come, for more moments for spirit and light to like fill up your body, and or even more moments for memories to rise to the surface, so that you have more inspiration to like place into the creative process. So that's why it's a good time connecting with the body, fasting, starting a new workout. Like, this is the actual new year, not in January. And I think it's important as a creative to not even just pay attention to what is, when connecting to the body and memories. One thing that I've experienced is receiving like information or inspiration, and wanting to like tie it to my identity and tie it to who I am and what's going on in my life. But another inspiration that I got for this video was a video of Pharrell talking about how creative energy and creativity is something that's lent. It's lent to us. We are being lended our creativity. I think of it as like it's just floating in the air, and we can like reach up and grab it, or it's floating in, you know, as above so below, or it's like floating in our bodies, and as we make room and the memories come up, then we can grab the memory and create with it. And so in that way, like, we're all like channels, which is kind of what my whole, my process is focusing on, like being a channel, because even if you're not like an artist, we move through life as creative vessels, as creators of ourselves, creators of our mental programming. We are constant creators, even if we're not necessarily traditional artists. And so life in general is a creative process. And when it's important to pay attention to how you are an active co-creator with spirit, with the universe, with God, with everything around you. Because if not, you know, that's how you get, when people get caught up in in loop patterns, when people get caught up in loops where they're just regurgitating and they can't get out of that loop. And so those nodal moments, those moments to build nodes are important. Those moments to live life and connect with the body and memory are important to spark new growth. The moments to destroy a mentality, to fast, to make room for new to come in, is important. because we're all channels, and we're all like creative vessels moving through life, and life is the creative process. Or especially when you are an artist, your whole life is a creative process, is part of the creative process. I can honestly say for me, no matter what I'm doing, it doesn't matter what I'm doing it to write my book. I'm doing it to write my script, my screenplay. I'm like, anything that happens to me, I am looking for inspiration to write. I'm looking for inspiration to draw, to write a song, like, and I am noticing how I'm actively more efficient as a human being, as a person. I am more in tune and aligned with myself when that is my number one goal, is connecting to spirit and my creative process. That's when the curiosity opens, when I'm not tying my whole identity to everything, you know, when the ego is coming up and tying everything that happens to me. The ego is being like kind of like transmuted into this creative process. That's where the ego should live. And if you're an artist, like, your ego should be in your work. So sometimes even the things that happen to me in my life, you know, when I look back, especially on things that I've gone through and have reckoned with and don't have like shame with, those things that happened to me in my life, I realized that they're not even it wasn't about me necessarily, if you know what I mean. Like, it wasn't about me and my ego and it was about these things happening to me so that I hope this makes sense. Like, the things that happen it's creative material. When something happens to you and it's not so great, and it builds character, build that character and create that character. And so I've started to do that, where like I did it even when I was younger without even knowing it, and have realized that when I was little I would create this character. And you know, I was younger, so not much was happening to me necessarily. You know, it seems to usually be like a memory process where you're looking back and bringing forward, in a way, if we want to use linear, that's more like linear. But yeah, what happens is, to us, is creative material. We're presented with a moment on a node, we make a decision, and then boom, other like creative possibilities and paths open up, and the expansion continues. And then we can destroy more and deconstruct what happened, so that we can expand more. And that's moving on the creative path. And so I think one thing I would say as a creative and as an artist, and to other creatives, and as someone who is a creative doula, it's very important to like, you know, create yourself. And this is something that I've had to learn, like putting myself into the creation, because I am my greatest creation, and what happens to me is part of the creative process. And so it's the emotional healing of looking back in memories and being able to see that as ripe creative material is important. Because when I started to do the process of creating this character, or even noticing when I was little that I would create this character, and now I'm becoming this character and this person in my head that, you know, little Olivia was creating, this ego that Olivia was creating was later on becoming who I was. Then I know that there is someone that I can create for the future. And Yeah. So it's, yeah, I was just saying it's important to like tap into the emotional healing and like get rid of shame. Like there's no shame. When you read a book, the juiciest, best books, the best moments of a book are when the characters are doing some stupid shit, when they're doing things that people would be ashamed of, when they're doing things that, when they're making decisions that grind against what the reader thinks is like the right decision. These are the moments when we really get enthralled and like connected to this character. And as I'm doing this own like character work for myself and like writing out, like 2 weeks ago, writing out this character that I want to become, I'm writing it in the sort of like future as they're older, and realizing that the things that I've gone through in my life are directly like preparing me for where I envision that character to be going. And so, yeah, as creatives, it's just diving into the layers of memories of different moments and how they connect. And that can come as like pain in the hips or the back. And for me, it's not necessary. It's more of saying like, at least I've noticed with me, when my body really hurts, it's probably like a lot of times I'm stifling my creative energy. Sometimes my back will give out when I'm like when we're not aligned. Our bodies will tell us like what we need to be doing. Or there's moments when you're sobbing or laughing, or all of these moments when these feelings come up, these emotions come up, these memories come up, and they come up as pains and laughter and recognizing a stranger. And definitely they come in dreams and visions, and feelings that come out of the blue, and all these little moments when you just like kind of stare out into space. All of this is like all of these little moments are moments that come up to the surface, especially when you have to allow for space, of course, like rest and space to tap into those moments. But those moments come up to like bring up more of like inspiration for like the creative process. And also, the creative process being life, you have to sit with your emotions and you have to allow space for your emotions. And this is all just part of the creative process. And like those little moments when I'm doing something and then like I have to write something down immediately. We don't always have to internalize those moments as, oh, something's wrong with me, or freak out. Sometimes it's just the creative process. Sometimes it's just creativity coming to you, or memory surfacing for inspiration. And yeah, and if we don't create with that and be inspired by that and see it as part of the creative material for our lives, then we'll think that something is wrong with us, and that we're dying, something's wrong with us, and sometimes it's just ego death. And I wrote, I also want to say that in this creative process, of course, with this idea, going back to what I kind of talk about in Black ancestral process theology as like time not being linear, this creative process doesn't stop with the completion of something. You don't complete, that's why it's so hard for people to complete works, complete books, or have a complete poem because it's never really complete. Even the creative process as life, even when we die, the setting changes, the form and structure changes, but there's still this continuation of the creative process. Even if you don't believe in like continuing after death, like yourself, life still continues after death. So even if you believe that like it's over when you die, it's not over when you die, because no matter what, there's still this massive creative process happening, whether you're there consciously or not, or in a body or not. So I don't know, I'm just always fascinated by the creative process. And I think this is coming from someone who is a Sidereal Pisces, sun and rising. I've always had to face like delusion in my life and figure out where to place delusion. And something I wrote was, it's not connecting with the delusional that will like paint a picture over reality, but it's a delusional that will look into the delusion of reality and create a picture, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's not like sitting in reality and saying, I'm just gonna paint a delusion over this reality, but it's knowing that reality in general is a creative process, is a hazy dream of sorts. Like nothing is solidified here, nothing is complete, nothing is everything is moving and vibrating and changing. And so it's knowing that inherently reality is a sort of delusion. And so being able to look into that delusion, observe that delusion, get very comfortable with that delusion, and then create a picture, create a song, create a, contribute to that creative process and that creative energy, rather than wanting to be delusional by painting some picture over the reality, if that makes sense. That's when we, sit in situations that we shouldn't be in and say, this is fine, this is okay, which is, there's a moment for that. But if you do that too long, then, and again, there's a place for that, because there's a place for that. There's like, that could be a very strong node, like everything exists in this reality, and it exists because there's some truth in it, even if that truth is just for someone else. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying is like sometimes the looking into the delusion of reality and creating from it allows for this creativity to work with you and for you, rather than just being it's rather than like creating a picture over reality. That can sometimes be a little harder, and not harder, but it takes a little more time. It can be very ostracizing, but it's also it feels like more of a ego-driven process, because there is a need for like collaboration with, there are like certain truths that, whether they're true for someone else, there are aligned truth, and you can recognize when painting a picture over reality, the reality and the sort of like aligned truth that you're living, because that we don't have control over our lives all the time and our kind of purposes and destinies. The aligned truth will constantly sort of just like poke in to remind you that you're putting in a lot of effort to paint a picture over reality rather than collaborating with reality to create the picture, if you know what I mean. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that. It was just on my mind, and I was writing about it, and I was thinking of doing a video today anyway, but I didn't know what to write about, and then this came to me as something to share. And it is very relevant to like when I do tarot readings. When I do readings for people, a lot of my process is like, you know, the reason that I chose the word doula, the reason I'm unfolding why doula came to me was because I was watching a lot of birth videos, and like a doula doesn't have the baby for you. It can't do all the work to create the baby for you, but it literally just is able to, you know, ask you like, what are you trying to creating? What are you wanting to experience in this creation? And then being able to say, okay, well, in these parameters, this is how you can do this, or this is the best way to do this. And so me as a channel is like connecting with spirit to sort of support the process of working with people and the illusion they're collaborating with, supporting people towards what they want to create. So when people like come to me with wanting to get a reading, it's yeah, just being a channel to support them in their collaboration with spirit towards their own aligned like truth. And sometimes, you know, you can hear the way people are on a loop with a certain mentality or programming that doesn't seem to align with what they want to experience in their creation, you know. So yeah, I just came to share that. It's a really great moment to get into this creative process, and to reevaluate the creative process and what we're creating and who we're creating ourselves to become, and to kind of to also look back on like maybe who we were creating before, and what we had to go through, and our own processes that brought us to the creation of who we are now. And to be honest about like, are we aligning with what we want to create, and without shame, just making different decisions and different choices, and you know, adjusting mentalities so that we can put in that work. And it's also, I feel like, especially at this like womb moment, like I was saying, is creation and destruction. This is the moment to really like it's a great moment to get silent and get connected with the body, to hear exactly what the vision is, to really see the vision, and really like tap into like the what's in the air, so to speak, and also what's in our bodies about what we're meaning to create, and get the vision. And then it's also a time to, if that vision's not aligning with what we're doing right now, to like destroy habits, destroy mentalities, to get into like destruction mode, and to reshuffle, or to like rearrange, to just do things differently, to, even if it's just observing what we're doing and saying, you know, just taking a note of like, I'm not, that what I'm doing is not going to contribute to the process of what I experience. You know, it's like, this is a wild example, but like if someone's looking to have a baby and create a baby and birth a baby in a few months, drinking is not going to help them experience, you know, a healthy baby. If that's what people, you know, want as their end goal, a healthy baby, a healthy pregnancy. So drinking is not necessarily going to help them get to that point. And I'm not saying like stop drinking, even though it is like Ramadan. It would be a good time to like step back from certain things that even if it's something that once you do it, you kind of feel a little shame. Maybe reevaluating your relationship to what that thing is, whether it's that actual thing you're doing that is the problem, or whether it's worrying about other people's opinions of why and how you do it, or just refocusing on what you want to be doing, like this character you're creating and becoming. How can you take a step further, closer, and connect closer in the direction of what that character would do, and support that character and the creation of themselves. It's yeah, it's a big like fertile moment. And if there's any help needed in that process, I am offering readings, and that information will be in the description box with my email, my Instagram. And yeah, just contact me. And I don't think that's the only really way to like get in touch with me. My Instagram, my email, both Instagrams. And if you're interested in like getting support in the process of like the creation process, and whether it's with an actual project, whether it's with this character you're becoming, or wanting to create a solution to a problem, and wanting to create an atmosphere with different people, we can discuss processes. And yeah, this video is a culmination of the creative process and doing this work for the past few months, and I am excited to continue with it and see my own creations materialize, and collaborating with you all and whoever is watching this video, and I appreciate everyone who is watching and commenting, subscribing, and sharing, and liking, and also just like you want to just DM me to engage in more collaboration. Just let me know. But good luck at this very potent, fertile time. And it's my favorite time. It's my birthday, and I just love this moment in the year. It's so fresh, and I just love it. I've been waiting for this moment for so long. I love winter because it's a challenge to do what I consider nothing as an Aries, as, you know, someone who's like loving this energy. But yeah, I love the shifts that happen. I'm very much a friend of the crossroad. I love the shifts and the doors opening. I even love the doors closing, because that's, you know, you have to get to a point where you're willing to lose and have losses to gain more. So I love the doors opening. I love the doors closing. And it's fun. It's a fun time of the year. If you're able to see it as the creative process and not like, oh, you know, attaching it to like, oh, this person doesn't want to talk to me anymore. Just like letting things move, or, oh, I lost this opportunity. Just letting things move. And moving with them. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, y'all.